From early risers, emerging stars, and the SoCon ASUN Challenge, the next episode of SoCon Fast Break starts now. Okay, Darren, we've got college basketball.
Yes.
We've got a couple of weeks under our belt, and it's a glorious time of the year.
Oh, it doesn't get much better. I mean, you talk about that first day, that first Monday, when it's just games from 8 a.m. until about midnight Eastern time,
right.
Or maybe even later. Is that weird to say that that's like mini Christmas for me?
Oh,
you know,
yeah, no doubt. Hey, we're getting close to Christmas, so why not here as we're recording at November the 19th. So, yeah, we know that we're on that precipice of the holidays and everything that goes into it. Obviously, we've got Thanksgiving next week, but then Christmas. Why not go ahead and start celebrating with college basketball? And you mentioned it there with the opening day with the field of 68 in Rock Hill, and just that opportunity of having a game start at 8 a.m. Again, why not sign me up for those type of events? And I think we should be doing even more of that, especially with this mid-major content. I mean, I should say the mid-major games. Why not? Let's have it even more so.
I totally agree. And kudos to the field of 68 for putting this on, because it's a great way to start the college basketball season. They put together some really good mid-major matchups in particular. I love early when we can see some high-level matchups, whether that's high major games or whether that's mid-major games.
Yes.
I really want to see teams get tested early and understand the concept and the reasoning to play some of these guarantee games early or play some of your non-one games early. But there's nothing like seeing a great mid-major or a great high-major basketball game early in the season and getting tested.
I think there's something also from a coaching perspective and a player perspective.
Certainly.
You've been practicing against the same guys over and over for multiple weeks, and now this is an opportunity of playing somebody in a different uniform, and there's a mental side of that and the psychology and the excitement that we want to see how we are. Let's get tested. Let's get some type of evaluation, some barometer to be able to measure where we are. And we know it's early, so we can talk about that there's a lot of basketball to be played. And I know one thing, and you know it as well, I mean, and fans know it. What you see in November might be completely different what you're going to see come January, February, March.
Yeah, and I think it's become, and we talked about this previously, I think it's become even later that you really at times find out what your team is like, because there's so many new faces on most of these rosters. It just takes longer to be able to build that continuity, build that comfortability with the offense and defensive schemes that you want to play with. And so it's getting later and later in the year. But to your point, you kind of try to break the season down into small pockets and small segments of, let's take these 4 or 6 games at a time, and here's the challenge here. And we move into the next set of games. Here's the challenge here. And, you try to find out as much as you can about your team during those segments. But like you said, there's no doubt the vast majority of these teams are going to be very different even 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, they definitely will. And we've been able to identify. I mean, you have the non-conference part of the schedule, the non-con. Then you obviously have the conference schedule, and then you have the postseason. So it's 3 separate seasons, basically, in one season when you break it down from that side. All right, so specifically in the Southern Conference, though, some of the interesting storylines I want to get into. Obviously, we've seen some fantastic performances, maybe some surprises. But I think the biggest thing, the storyline that we're seeing, where's Ricky Bradley Jr. for VMI? He hasn't played yet, and I don't know if there's a whole lot of information that's out there other than it's an injury. They're hoping to have him come back real soon.
Yeah, I hope he's back soon, just for the sake of it's great for the league, and it's great for him. I know he wants to be able to take the next step forward. And look, I mean, we talk about, I agree, the biggest story being Ricky Bradley. But that VMI team has shown that they've got some depth, and TJ Johnson's been incredible. I want to see what they look like at full strength.
That's right. I guess.
And how good can this team potentially be?
Because when you have a player like Ricky Bradley coming out of VMI and he's voted preseason SoCon Player of the Year, immediately we're wanting to see, okay, can he live up to that? And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean that we're excited to see how he's going to develop into that player that we think he can be. And so we're just disappointed that he's not out on the floor, because this does seem to be a different VMI team.
Yeah, and it really does. I've been impressed with the depth that they've had so far. Some of the numbers that they have from a statistical perspective are a little bit skewed, because they hung 122 on the board opening night.
Yeah.
Or it was 102, I think. Or it was 122. It was 122.
Yeah.
But I've really been impressed with the depth they've gotten and the balance they've gotten from different guys. That, they seem to have somebody that can kind of do exactly what they need in a different statistical category. Obviously led by TJ Johnson so far.
Yes.
25 a night, good for fifth best in the country, 9 rebounds a night. I am really excited to see Ricky Bradley Jr. back, so we can find out what this team is really like.
That's right. And another player, Colin Mulholland, there for Chattanooga, missed some time. And again, this was another guy that, how he ended the season. I know a lot of Chattanooga fans were ready to see him come out. Could he take that extra step here in this season?
Yeah, and obviously he's only been back for 2 games. I think he's still clearly getting into a rhythm. But from the looks of it, again, early, from the looks of it, they're going to need Colin Mulholland to step up and kind of be that guy that we talked about, and what I think other coaches in the Southern Conference predicted that he would be this year.
Yeah, no question. And another storyline that I think we're following is Samford.
Yeah.
Lenny Acuff.
Yeah.
The Lenny Acuff era there in Birmingham. And this seems to be starting in the right direction with what you're seeing, not only from win-loss perspective, back-to-back overtime wins and Keaton Norris being able to almost save the day. But this seems like a Samford team that is highly talented, highly skilled. Obviously, Jaden Booth is one of those guys. And if you remember from our preview episode with Dean Keener, and he talked about him talking to Coach Acuff and mentioning several different times in the conversation, Jaden Booth, keep your eyes on him.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it so far.
Oh, my gosh. You want to talk about a guy that does not look out of his depth moving up from the Division II to Division I level. He's been fantastic. He's been lights out, 24 a game, 5 rebounds a game from the guard spot, which is a great added bonus, and 40% from 3, which, we talk about this a lot as coaches. Things typically regress to the mean.
Yeah.
But guess what? He's about a 40% three-point shooter for his career. So watch out.
Yeah.
And he's taken over 12 a game so far this year, and he's still shooting at a 40% clip.
Yeah. He started out 34 points in the opening game against Tulane. And then, again, we talked about the back-to-back overtime wins against Texas Southern and Central Arkansas. And then you push Arkansas.
Pushed them
79-74. That was a competitive game, and Samford was not going away.
No, they weren't. They battled the whole night. I think we have determined or confirmed here that Samford is going to be able to put the ball in the basket.
Oh, no,
they're going to be able to score. And I'm not
small
saying,
sample size, but they're doing it against some good competition.
They really are.
Yeah.
And I'm not insinuating the defense is going to be the weak link, or that's the question mark for them. But what I am saying is, I think you're going to really be able to have to score to beat them, especially as we get closer to conference play, because they've got some dudes that can put that thing in the basket, and you combine that with the way that Coach Acuff plays and the style and the scheme.
Yes.
They are looking all of the contender that I think we thought that they could be in the preseason.
No doubt. All right, before we even dive into a little bit more of some of the other star performances from some of these players, we do have to mention what Kevin Giltner is doing at Wofford. Again, small sample size. I get it. It's early, but they're competitive.
Yeah.
They seem connected. They seem like a team that didn't go through any chaos, didn't go through a crisis type situation. And I know maybe I'm being overly dramatic by saying that, but when you have your head coach fired and then a brand new coach a few weeks before the season, I'm sorry, it's hard to describe it any other way. But I'm telling you, what he's been able to do to come in and be that stabilizer right now. This is a Wofford team that I think is very talented, and even more so than I think we were even looking at it. Again, from the paper perspective. When you see them out on the court, you're like, okay, these guys are connected, they're playing well, and they're skilled.
They are. And look, hey, complete hats off to Coach Giltner.
Yes.
I don't think you're being dramatic at all. I mean, if we go back, if we went back over the last 25 years, I would bet a fair amount of money that there's no more than 10 times that sort of scenario has ever happened with a head coach getting fired that late in the preseason and somebody having to come step in, and not just somebody that was already on staff, but somebody completely new that hasn't been there for a handful of years.
Yes, that's right. Yes,
Caveat.
Obviously, yes,
but
he's connected to the program.
No, look, I'm by no means, and I know you're not either, I'm not saying they're going to go out and win the league or that they're even going to be top 4. But for them to look as put together as they have over the first 3 weeks of the season, I mean, it's a minor miracle what he, and frankly, look, give credit to that staff too.
Oh, no doubt.
What he and that staff.
It's a collective unit, yes.
And those guys buying into it. Yeah. You're absolutely right. Collective credit due. They certainly look like they will be competitive in league play and will be punching above what I think, at least on paper, preseason, we thought might be the case over there in Spartanburg.
I think if what we're seeing so far early on, I know they're 2-2, and again, we've got games that we'll talk about upcoming, but this seems to be where this might be more of a storyline if this continues, as far as how well they're playing from not just a regional perspective, but a national perspective, because of, again, the uniqueness of this situation. So definitely kudos to Kevin Giltner, what he's been able to do.
Absolutely. And the last thing I'll say on it is, if you look at their upcoming schedule, honestly, really leading into conference, it's a pretty favorable schedule for them. Like, they got a chance to really build some momentum here going into conference play. And we talk about it a lot. I mean, momentum matters.
No, it
that
definitely
confidence,
does.
Especially in a scenario like this, you build that confidence going into league play.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, they're getting some production, I think, from some guys that maybe, again, I know Mahovsky, he's playing well, but Brian Sumpter, freshman, coming in, and he's been playing well. So you're getting some guys that you were hopeful that they were going to be able to produce, and they're starting to produce now.
Yes, and with Sumpter, it's funny, I got a text from my buddy during the Milwaukee game, and just literally texted in all caps, "This kid is for real."
So you can see it.
Yeah.
He pops off the screen like that.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a player in high school. I mean, so the talent's there, but again, we question, how are you going to be able to make that transition to Division I, and especially as a freshman, and coming in, and again, even in this unique situation.
No, absolutely. And then, you mentioned a couple other guys too. I mean, Kamari Holmes has really stepped up.
That's right.
He's averaging about 15 a game through, actually really almost 16 a game through the first couple games of the year. Has struggled a little bit with efficiency at times. Again, small sample size, but has done a good job of getting to the free throw line. And I think there's a lot of bright spots overall that you can look at with what they've done so far.
No question. All right, so some of the player performances so far. We know the SoCon is released after the first 2 weeks. Their players of the week. First one going to TJ Johnson there at VMI. And I'm telling you, this guy, he's taken over for VMI with the absence of Ricky Bradley Jr. there. And again, was named SoCon Player of the Week back in November 10th week. Averaged 27 points per game in the opening week. He had 32 points and 14 rebounds at Southern Indiana. And after 3 games of the season, he was leading the nation in scoring at 82 points total at the time. But now he's got 100 points after 4 games. And as you mentioned, averaging 25 points per game. But also, he's 24 of 24 from the free throw line.
Yeah.
He hasn't missed yet.
Yeah.
And this is an impressive performance because he also had 31 points and 7 rebounds against Missouri.
Yeah, great point.
And so he's doing it against some of these truly competitive teams and obviously talented teams also.
He is. And I think those numbers will probably come down. Almost certainly will come down when Ricky Bradley Jr. is back. But this is a great thing for him and potentially the VMI Keydets in that you have found a guy that can step into those shoes when you need him to. And even if those numbers come down a fair amount, when you get Ricky Bradley Jr. back, you now know you've got a Robin to your Batman
exactly.
that has proved it and done it. And look, 4 or 5 games in, he's going to have a good year. This isn't some fluke that when Ricky Bradley Jr. comes back, he's going to semi-disappear. This is a guy that is probably trending towards a first-team all-league type
we saw
year.
what he was capable of last year.
Correct.
So I think we're starting to see the next step in him stepping into that leadership role. And again, veteran guys that Andrew Wilson was able to keep there at VMI. And I think it's paying off right now. Again, small sample size, I get it. But yeah, the eyeball test tells me, okay, TJ Johnson is playing at a different level right now.
Well, and to your point, all those stats that you mentioned, he's been efficient.
Yes.
He's shooting 50% from the field. He's shooting 36% from 3, which, he's doing things that winning basketball players do. He's not just putting up numbers, and he's doing it efficiently. I'm really excited. We talked a little bit about this in the preview. I'm really excited to see him get into some ball screen action with Ricky Bradley Jr. when he's back healthy. And you mentioned this too, and I think it's worth talking about. You and I were talking about it before the show. Don't underestimate going to Evansville and getting that win against Southern Indiana.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that's a big win for VMI going on the road there, and obviously then losing a heartbreaker to Jacksonville in the SoCon ASUN Challenge there at home on a last second 3-point shot or I should say 1.4 seconds to go, and that's a devastating loss just from a confidence standpoint, but I do think that Andrew Wilson, they'll be able to shake that off.
Yeah, I think so as well.
All right, what about Mr. Jaden Booth at Samford? Another strong guard coming in. I know we've already talked about him a little bit, but averaging 20 points, over 20 points per game. And this is a guy, he's coming in and showcasing there is zero lack of confidence.
No, sir.
I can tell you, he's running and gunning, and he's made that transition.
He has been a bucket so far. I mean, he's like we mentioned earlier, he's taking over 12 threes a game, and he's shooting 40%. I mean, if he can keep up that volume at 40%, I mean, holy cow, they're going to be really, really tough because you're either going to have to throw a lot more attention at him that's going to make somebody else on that roster's job easier.
That's right.
Or he's just going to continue to do what he's doing. But, I mean, he's giving you 5 rebounds a game, too, from the guard spot, which, you really appreciate. And so he's able to do more than just score the basketball, too, which I think is huge. But certainly no issue with that transition up. No. And he's getting to the free throw line. He's got over 30 attempts through 5 games, and he's shooting 93% from the stripe. So really just doing a lot of different things to help that team. Seems to really fit well into Coach Acuff's system.
No question. And he's one of the leaders in college basketball also in terms of points per game and total points. All right, the other player of the week in the Southern Conference, we'll just stick there at Samford. We talked to him a little bit. Keaton Norris hit the game-tying 3 to force overtime at Texas Southern and the go-ahead jumper in overtime at Central Arkansas as they would explode there in that overtime. But this guy's averaging 17 points per game, almost 6 rebounds a game, almost 6 assists per game in that stretch of games. So, yeah, it was an easy decision for the SoCon to have Keaton Norris because not only is he putting up some of those numbers, but he's doing it in critical moments and with the game on the line.
Yeah, and he's another guy that looks like he – again, we've talked about it ad nauseum, recruiting for your system and recruiting for fit. And, he's a guy that had several good years at Wright State, but nothing like this. But he seems to be a really good fit to be the head of the snake
Yes.
for Coach Acuff, and has really provided a motor for that offense. And as you mentioned, he's done more than a little bit of everything. He's done a lot of everything. It's not easy to average 6+ assists in a 40-minute game. Even with an increased pace. And so what he's doing right now, just from the totality of what he's doing, is really impressive, and looks to be playing with a significant amount of confidence as well.
No question. Well, part of it is just give the ball to Jaden Booth also, right?
Yeah. I guess it's not that hard to get 6 assists a game when you got a guy averaging 25 a game, hauling up 12.
But there's other guys on Samford that are contributing right now. There's freshmen there also. All right, Julian Samaro at Western Carolina. This is an interesting one because I think this might be one of those missing pieces there for Tim Kraft, Western Carolina, to have a guard like Julian, and we talked about it, from the Bronx. I mean, he's just got that toughness, that grit, and I think it just fits really well with Tim Kraft's system. And obviously, Tim Kraft knows him from the Gardner-Webb days. Yeah. And so I think there's something about seeing how he is gaining some confidence and being a leader on that team. He's a high-energy guy. I was there for the Stetson Western Carolina game, and Western Carolina gets the win in the SoCon ASUN Challenge there. And he was the guy just very vocal, clapping all the time, and getting guys involved, not saying from a, passing the ball to them. I'm saying like getting them involved, talking to them, amping them up. He was the energy type of guy. And then he was also knocking down the 3-point shot. So when you start doing that and you're averaging 16 points per game, it's easy to see that he seems to be a guy that can get that engine going for Western Carolina's offense.
No, he certainly does. And I think you mentioned one of the key pieces there is the leadership that he seems to be bringing so far. Seems like a guy that, because of his comfortability with Coach Kraft, playing for him before, really can kind of be a leader that, frankly, it seemed like they kind of lacked a little bit last year at Western. And, when that guy is also one of your best players, that certainly rings a little bit deeper with the rest of the roster. And when you can not only lead vocally, but lead through example, like he is doing, setting the tone from an energy perspective. I'm very curious to see how this Western Carolina team continues to improve throughout the non-conference season.
No doubt.
Because if Julian Samaro plays like this, you've now got 3 guys on that roster that can give you, 15 to 20 on any given night. And when you get 3 that can do that, makes it a lot more challenging to be able to scout.
Oh, for sure.
And scheme for.
You got Marcus Kell, you've got Cord Stansberry, and then you've got Kaba there that can be a rim protector. So this unit could be coming together. Yeah. Again, I know it's very early in this 2025-26 season here in the non-con, but starting to see some things that we can make some observations, and eventually we'll get to the point where we can make some conclusions, because we can't make any conclusions right now because it is definitely early. But I would say the other storyline that we really didn't mention is Furman and Chattanooga. They seem to be off a little bit right now. And with Colin Mulholland, could that be part of Chattanooga? But they also had a very difficult schedule to start off with, going out on the West Coast and playing back-to-back games. Again, you don't see that happen too often in 2 different cities. So that could be a challenge. But then with Furman, just from the offensive standpoint, typically what we see Furman, they're shooting 36, 37, 38% from beyond the arc. And right now, just barely 25% at 24.8. Now, they've got games coming up, but that seems to be something that is a little different than what we've seen from Furman in the past.
No, certainly. I think 2 things that you bring up are schedule, right, for both teams.
Yes.
Chattanooga, to your point, I mean, I'm a little bit perplexed why they would put themselves through that.
Yeah.
But, tough matchup against St. Mary's NCAA tournament team, most likely. a recharged UNLV.
Yes, and then
under
go
Josh
right
Pastner.
to UNLV after that.
And just a number of things that we could go into from time of night perspective, et cetera. That's very difficult. So, you want to take that with a grain of salt, but they have not looked like themselves early in terms of, I think what we've come to expect out of a Dan Earl coached team. And with Furman, you hit the nail on the head. They haven't been lights out defensively, but their struggles have been on the offensive end, which is, you don't say struggles on the offensive end and Bob Ritchie coached Furman basketball team in the same sentence very often.
No, you don't.
He is an incredible coach that really, really excels on the offensive end, and they're usually very efficient, and they usually, to your point, shoot it really well, and they usually take care of it really well.
They do.
And they've struggled taking care of it, averaging 15 turnovers a game. Now, some of that, freshman starting point guard who has shown signs of being incredible.
Oh, yes.
But,
yes. We're going to be talking about Alex Wilkins quite a bit.
So you have to take that into account. He's got to learn a little bit, and shooting under 70% from the free throw line, 42% from the field, not characteristic of them. And to your point, 25-ish% from three, that's not going to happen for them for the entire year.
Yeah.
Things regress to the mean. They will be better, but very uncharacteristic early on. And I think scheduling for them has also been a challenge.
Yes. You play High Point, NCAA tournament team to start the season. You also play Troy. And I think in both of those games, it seemed like Troy and High Point were able to speed Furman up and get them out of really what they wanted to do and made them uncomfortable. But Troy is a NCAA tournament team also. And that was a hard-fought game.
Yeah.
You kept them within the 60s. Yeah. And we just saw Troy beat San Diego State. And
it's a big win.
That's a huge
big program win.
Yes. So it's been a tough schedule for Furman also. So you have to factor that into it.
Yeah. And then flying to Northern Iowa.
Oh, yes. Northern Iowa.
That's a tough, it's a tough place to play, tough place to get to. And should be a team that competes to win the Missouri Valley this year as well. Very well coached. So I agree overall, probably not the start that either of those two teams wanted. Certainly a storyline, but I'll be curious to see over the next month how both of those teams really start.
No question. Another team that I'm very anxious to continue to watch, not only ETSU, but also Mercer with Baraka, Okoje, and then Armani Mighty. Watch out.
Yeah.
They might be a different Mercer team also.
Those two look like a very strong 1-2 punch.
Yes.
For the Mercer Bears. I would anticipate this being a significantly better Mercer team than we've seen in several years. And as I'm thinking about it, one of the themes I think I've seen so far this year is that we've seen a little bit of Furman and Chat struggle, but I think what we've seen in a small sample size is some of these teams that have struggled towards the bottom of the league over the last couple of years early look to be a fair amount better.
That's right.
Than they have been. So it'll be interesting to see kind of that middle group.
I agree. Even the Citadel, I know that they've lost some tough games, but they're scoring. So if they can get their defense in order, I think they're going to be much more competitive. UNCG, I know they're struggling right now, but they've had a very difficult schedule, and they lose in overtime to Elon. So you do have that. But it is interesting just to see how the teams are trying to find their balance right now. Yeah. And again, we've got a lot of games left to be played, including the SoCon ASUN Challenge. As of right now, SoCon is up 5-4 in the challenge, but we've got several games, actually even a couple tonight. Florida Gulf Coast at Samford, North Florida at Wofford, and then you continue with UNCG at Queens. Another one that I'm interested in, I will see VMI at Stetson, Queens at Furman, and then you also have Central Arkansas at ETSU later on this month. So still plenty of games left in this SoCon ASUN Challenge, and I like this challenge.
Yeah.
But this is what mid-major basketball needs to do. They need to have these type of opportunities.
No, they certainly do. And any time that you can kind of create some extra buzz and create some conference rivalry and, that sort of stuff matters. And to your point, it creates storylines, and maybe you get some additional rivalries out of it that are
Yes.
non-conference related. But it also gives you a scheduling, not break, but it allows you to be able to know that you've got 2 quality games on your non-conference schedule.
Agreed. It's a measuring stick.
Yeah.
It's a litmus test, barometer, whatever you want to utilize there, just to get a gauge of how your team is built, especially because these teams are going to be more similar come conference time.
Yeah.
And that'll give you a better idea of what your team is made of.
Absolutely. And I'm excited tonight to see the Sanford Florida Gulf Coast game. Florida
Yes.
Gulf Coast coming off a big win against Chattanooga.
Yep.
Sanford, like we talked about, playing good basketball right now.
Yeah.
I think that'll be an interesting matchup tonight.
Yeah, no question. We'll be able to break it all down next week as the episode. But also, we have to give a lot of appreciation to our friends over at Ingles Markets and everything that they've done in terms of supporting the podcast. One of the things that we love is that Melissa Leavell has been a big part of it. She's the director of advertising and marketing for Ingles, and she's been a huge supporter of this type of content. So we definitely appreciate that. And now let's actually talk with our good friend Melissa Leavell from Ingles Markets. Melissa, thanks so much. You're here. SoCon Fast Break. Here we are.
I love the name, by the way. It's terrific.
It's
and
reality.
You made it happen. It's always good to have some support, but you're the one that does all the work and has all the talent. So I'm taking no credit for anything other than to support.
No, well, I appreciate that. You're going to make my head big saying those kind words, but it all comes down to obviously Ingles Markets and the support that you provided in so many different ways, and obviously here with this college basketball podcast, because we have felt that there's a void in terms of mid-major content, and especially in the Southern Conference, which I know it's a conference that's near and dear to your heart.
Absolutely. I mean, the Ingles does sponsor the Ingles Southern Conference basketball tournament and the basketball season, and we're partners with the Southern Conference and have been for almost 11 years now. And we just absolutely love that relationship. Not only do our stores align almost perfectly with the schools that are in the conference, but we also sponsor schools in the Big South, which also they compete with each other. So it gave us an opportunity to really show all those schools some extra love and to be able to be present at more of the activities through the SoCon.
That's right. And going back, though, I mean, sports has been a big part of your life, though.
Absolutely.
And that's why you're so invested and ingrained in sports.
Right. Well, when I was a little girl, my mom and dad used to go to Alabama to visit my father. And my father had an insurance, my grandfather, my grandmother, I should say, granddaddy and grandmama. But I couldn't call her grandmama. I had to call her Myrtle. Okay. All right. But anyway, so we would go, and my mom would go shopping with my grandmother, and they would drop me off at my grandfather's insurance agency, usually on a Saturday, right? And he was listening to the Yankees on the radio. And I was bored to tears. I mean, I was like, what am I going to do? I was pulling things off the shelf. I was doing something, just trying to find anything to play with. And so he taught me how to keep score.
There we go.
And it became a link for not only just loving sports, but loving what sports does to families.
And when you say that, the connection.
Right, the connection.
The connection. Sports has that unique ability to be able to do that. And so, I mean,
there's nothing else like it.
That's right. And now, I mean, you have that vivid memory of learning how to keep score, and it's with your grandfather.
Right.
I mean, that's so special.
We went on to go to games together, watched American Legion baseball together. I got to take him to the All-Star game in Atlanta, and I think it was 1996, I believe it was, when I was living down there. And I still have all the old scorecards. I got a Lucky Strike thing on the side of it, that we told me. And, and if I really want to feel something other than just the rat race, I would live near the Braves when it was at Turner Field. I would put a ball cap on, get a cold beer in the middle of the afternoon, 1 o'clock, go to the early game and sit there and keep score. And it just brought everything back. It was just terrific. And it was always one thing. You never lose that connection once you have it.
That's right.
Even things can happen in the world, but you have sports can become very grounding. And be roots for you.
That's right.
And that's why I love it. I feel like also that's what makes it such a powerful marketing tool to use.
And that's what I was going to ask, because there's something about sports, and obviously we see brands and sponsors being connected with sports. And so explain that a little bit more. Why is that?
Well, sports hit something inside that allows that person to attach a good memory. Okay, that's branding, right? It's a branding. So they're already connected, either be an alumni or just a really incredibly fan of that NFL team or baseball team or whatever it might be, whatever sports it is. But when they go there, they're going there. It's a positive experience. They're with friends and family. They're doing things that they love to do. And when you're present, now I don't mean just a name on a T-shirt or a sign, but when you're present and you become part of their fun, you engage them there and beforehand, then you also are just indelible with that. It doesn't change.
Yeah, and I think that's something big, as we've talked previously, the emotions.
Right.
And can you have the emotions, obviously, that we feel with sports, but also can you have that emotion tied to the brand?
Absolutely. And NASCAR was the very first people to do that. And NASCAR was the very first that showed brand loyalty in such a strong way. You would have a driver and be the Tide. You might not even know the name. Tide car.
Yeah.
You could not buy anything if you were that driver's fan other than Tide. You just wouldn't let yourself do it. And I watched that. I saw that. I said, you know what? This is incredible the way it does. But I also, having been part of an NFL team, okay, I also got to observe, everything being around me, how important every part, every aspect of that day was. I mean, whether it's basketball, college, pro, it's not cheap.
Yes.
Okay, so you want to make sure that everybody's having a great time. So all the engagements became just as important as what happened on the field.
Yeah. Do you miss those cheerleading days with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
They would leave a mark right now.
I know that had to be a special time, though.
It was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a funny story about that is, though, I would tumble every time, and I had high heel white boots, and I could tumble from one end zone to the other. All right. But it was only when they scored, which we didn't do very often. So I said, I'm really getting rusty here. So, and there's actually some NFL films like that. But if you were to look back at some, I'm tumbling the team in.
Wow.
Right. And so it's great.
Oh, I love it. All right. So then now coming here to the Southern Conference and the basketball side, and the thing that we also talk about is the community feel. And there's something about the Southern Conference because of the footprint that you're talking about.
Right.
I mean, everybody, and even though there's rivals, we know
yeah,
that.
Absolutely.
But people, I mean, they gravitate to this notion of this is the Southern Conference.
That's right.
We're part of the Southern Conference. It means something.
It absolutely does. And it also means something for the schools to help out when their sponsors need it as well. And I can give a perfect example of Hurricane Helene.
That's right.
All right. And our Wofford and Furman and, some big South schools as well, loaded up trucks of stuff to bring to Hearts with Hands and things, charities that we were working with when that happened. We didn't even ask them. They just said, we're going to bring this stuff. We'll see you. Clemson University did it as well. They had a semi out to collect goods. So, I mean, it was just amazing to see that. And we have a documentary coming out very soon about a high school cheerleading squad. Half of them lost their homes. They live in Swannanoa, and how they were able to become team again. How team meant not just cheering together as a team, but also cheering each other on.
Yeah.
One of them ended up being valedictorian. They won state champions for the very first time, and a lot of that was saying that's just incredible after such a disaster.
That's right.
Well, what happened is something incredible happened because of the disaster.
Yes.
Right?
And we could have never predicted that,
No.
obviously. I mean, there's a certain period of time where you're just so focused as far as the recovery. But eventually, part of that recovery is doing some of those things. And how many times have we seen part of the recovery process, even from a national perspective, it's sports going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the connector. That's bringing us back together.
Thing, really, because it's something that connects you with other people. It goes live. You want to be part. You have 3 hours to escape, right? To watch your team, to cheer, to get all the nerves out and do all those funny things.
That's right.
At least if you watch a game like I do, which I'm not very good in a box, I'll just say that.
Exactly.
You can argue with the referees. You can do all that
Yeah,
stuff.
you wouldn't be good there at the media table, right? Because you're not supposed to be cheering at the media
be here
table.
for 3 minutes during an interview and I have to go. Get out of here now.
Yeah, because I mean, you're a huge Florida State fan,
Right?
So I do know that, but obviously,
Sort of. No.
yeah, that's right, on the football side. But I do know that you're a huge Southern Conference fan, and even more so for the tournament in Asheville, and just the city, everything that they do. But you guys at Ingles Markets are such a huge part of that entire event. I mean, it is a special tournament, and that's why people that haven't been able to experience that, they're definitely missing out.
Right. And I think it's when people say the Southern Conference tournament, they probably thought of the way it used to be a long time ago. But right now, I modeled what we wanted to do as sponsors to actually be so engaged starting a month out. So we have the Southern Conference Mascot Challenge,
I love that.
which is so much fun. We make mascots do human things, you know, and we have a website you can go to, and all the schools and people that are friends of the school and family can vote for their favorite mascot, and that mascot will win $1,000 for their athletic scholarship fund. And we also donate on behalf of the school $1,000 for Hoops Against Hunger, which is our charity based with Evelyn Charities that we do with the tournament. Our hotels downtown collect food all month long before the tournament, and they put big displays together, beautiful, almost like Lego kind of displays with food and that kind of thing. We give an award away for that. So we're tying the charity element in it, but people start to see it and feel it months before it happens.
Exactly.
Right?
It's the build up.
Right. It's a build up. And I think, and then when we're there, we set up our own media area where all the teams can bring their radio personnel that has been there cheering them on as radio personnel for the whole time. They can do a live show there. We have voting for the mascot challenge going on. We have all sorts of games. We have the relays, which are incredibly fun.
Oh yes, the relays with the cheerleaders.
Oh, that's great. And they have at least one per game, and they run back with the food back and forth, and it's just incredible. But now one year I had Mateo there. I snuck him in. He won the silver medal for Western Carolina University on a broken ankle. He had gone through the trials that morning and had actually broken an ankle and won the silver medal. And he's SoCon.
That's right. Yes, back in the SoCon. And I do love the cheerleader relays, because when I'm there, I'm trying to see if there's any correlation. If which team cheerleaders win, does that mean that team's going to win or lose in that particular game?
You know, that's a good point. I've never even thought about it, but does it really match?
There was a correlation. I know in that 2022-23 season, there was definitely a correlation, but it doesn't always work out that way.
Nobody could have predicted what happened in that tournament with the Furman losing at the very last second. Although they did do it on the Ingles logo on the court, which I do appreciate.
That's what I was going to say, is that there in Asheville, you never know what's going to happen.
Oh my gosh, I know.
But even from a perspective as far as marketing, I know we don't have the crystal ball to see how marketing might play out and the opportunity. But as you just mentioned, that shot was replayed over and over with David John Baptiste for Chattanooga hitting that shot. And so many times the announcers, even on ESPN, would say from the Ingles logo.
That's right.
I mean, that is priceless.
Like, you cannot write that. You cannot buy it. You cannot do anything. And so those things that's what I mean about being part and integrating yourself in. We have our names on the back of the chairs. Okay, so when you're there, so those last few minutes when the players are up and down, jumping up and down, and you're so excited for them, you're also seeing Ingles on the back of every chair.
That's right.
We were the first to put it on the bottom part of the hoop.
Oh, okay.
And we actually had to get approval from the NCAA to be able to do that. So now a lot of people have followed suit. You could always have it up on the top, but you couldn't have it on the big bottom of the station.
Wow.
So your cameras go back and forth. You see it on both ends all the time, the logo all the time. And then we do lots of great commercials too that engage the fans and have an opportunity to have a little bit of laugh and a little bit of fun. And the mascots during the season have QR cards that they can pass around to their fans, so you can vote right now at all the games. So they're voting, even if you're in Mercer or you're in ETSU, way away from Asheville, you can be voting all the time.
I love it. Well, very well done getting the NCAA to approve something, because normally they do not.
That's right.
We've
and
seen
Furman
too
was
many
the first
times.
one. Furman was the first one we did.
Yeah. Well, I can't thank you enough for joining us, and obviously everything that you do in terms
exciting.
of the
I'm so
support
happy
in
for you,
Ingles
and it's really
Markets,
done
all
a lot
that.
of good things for the conference too. We
Yes.
really appreciate you being there. You are a star.
Well, I don't know about that, but we're trying. And we're trying to put the spotlight on the Southern Conference and the teams and the players, because, again, I think this is a conference that deserves more attention and the opportunity of talking about it and
Lots of
talking hoops.
talent.
Why not?
I mean, another thing you were talking about marketing, but Fletcher McGee broke the 3-point record
Yeah.
at a Ingles Southern Conference game of the week against Mercer on a
Exactly.
weeknight. Okay, and I mean that gets played over and over and over again. He was Wofford, and he was just, you couldn't make that up.
That's right. I know it exactly. That's the
Because there
point.
was our logo right there at the bottom of the stand.
It gets replayed over
That's
and
right.
over.
Mhm.
And that's the beauty of sports also, is that you never know what's going to happen. It's so unpredictable, but it's appointment TV watching. That's for certain.
Right.
And that's what we love about
And
it.
isn't it funny that it broke the record of another SoCon player?
Yes,
It's that kind of
exactly.
thing. So that should tell people who maybe have not given Southern Conference basketball a try
Yes.
that the talent is incredible. I mean,
No
it was the
doubt.
home of the first 3-point shot,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
All
At
sorts of things.
Western Carolina.
You have a lot of things happening in SoCon and really dedicated people for the talent of basketball. And I just think that they make for some exciting games.
No doubt. Well, thank you again for
Thank
your
you.
continued support. That's for certain. All right. Everybody out there, you know the drill. Make sure you hit that subscribe or follow button, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast, including the iHeartRadio app. Until next time, may all your jumpers hit nothing but the bottom of the net.